Let's dive into the world of tabletop gaming and painting with the Tippy cast. From rolling dice to mastering brushstrokes, we're here to fuel your passion. Join us for insights, inspiration, and endless creativity. I'm Chris.
And I'm Daz. So, Chris, what you got on the table?
At the minute, I'm working on the Rumble Slam Stadium. I finally took the plunge into working on it. I bought it for myself for Christmas. I got it bought it day of release, put it away for Christmas, and just had like a lot of little plans that I wanted to do with it. Um, different things for like wiring it up, putting lights into it, and bits like that. And kind of as I've actually been finally getting on to working on it, I can see how that's kind of coming together, and it's given us like a couple of other ideas to go along with it. Uh, which I'll show them off once they're done. And after that, I'll be working on the bleachers and getting those wired up as well, because I've got a couple of little light fittings to go onto them. Uh, just before we started recording this, I finished building up one of it's like the VIP box dice tray sides, and I've stuck magnets onto them so it all just like fits together next to the central bit of stage. Yeah, I took a couple of little photos where they've got the Rumble Sam statue sat on it. Some teams stood at the entranceway, and it's going to be really good for getting photos on it. I know that already. And yeah, I'm just looking at it across the room there, and it's a big bit of kit. Takes up a
It
fair
is.
bit of room. Um, but I love the look of it. And once
Oh,
I've
it
got the
is.
bleachers there alongside it, it's gonna look
So
proper.
I got the first test cut of that. So because they know my dad's pretty handy when it comes to the old MDF Tehran.
Hmm.
Um, and he's
Definitely is. I've seen some of it.
and he's we got the test cut. So obviously he was sort of like as he was building it was making notes, going, nope, that doesn't work.
Hmm.
And then luckily because he's pretty handy, he was just able to sort of fix it. But he was making notes as he was building it completely blind because he wasn't even given instructions because they were still
Wow,
writing the instructions. And
that's
that's kind of
quite the feat, because some of the bits of it, it's very
yeah.
bits that look very similar to each other. It's
He
just a
was just
slight
working
movement.
off. Yeah, he was just working off the pictures they'd sent him. Like he hadn't got any physical instructions, just pictures. But yeah, mine got painted up as Gomorrah because it's one of my favorite casinos, and
Mm.
my deluxe ring that I've got is painted up like Gomorrah. I mean, you've seen my Gomorrah ring.
Yeah,
Um,
when Ben posted a picture of that, was it last week? Just like to get ready uh, for his like
yeah,
bringing it out. Um, that's really what pushed me to get mine painted up, because it was like that really does look incredible.
yeah, and we've obviously got the lights. The only difference, so the things that we've added on, is the two snakes up by the entrance because again, I
Yeah.
just themed it to Gamora, and I've inadvertently Louis from TE Combat, he was basically looking at that and he goes, "You've just given me an idea." And then I think he's now looking to sell like casino sort of bits to
Hmm.
sort of theme your casinos to one of the six.
Yeah, those snakes do look really good. They did a good job on them.
So I think he was like doing like he's thinking about doing like the laurels going around if you're doing like Kaiser's Palace. And I
Hmm.
think he's going to be looking at like little gubbins that you could put onto your like an arena upgrade or arena casino theme pack or something like that.
Hmm.
Um,
If there's one where it's just loads of cats on it for Diamond Oasis, yes,
and
I'll take 7 of them. Thank you.
so the only thing we got left on one, so my one's got like working lights, it's all
Hmm.
bells and whistles.
Yeah, I'm going to
Um,
be adding some of them onto to mine. I've like the MDF spotlights that come
Mm,
with it are just basically they didn't even get paint put on them. Just don't need them. I've got LEDs. I've made little light boxes
nice.
like arena spotlight looking lights, and got them like set at the angles to match what the MDF ones were. Um, so I can have the ones that are up on the walls and on the bit of metal rigging, and then the ones that are on the deck they can kind of point at the right angles.
So the only thing we've got left on ours is we're going to do a curtain in the entranceway.
Hmm.
And then Dad's found a way. Well, found a she's a YouTuber who does cosplay. For the life of me, I couldn't tell you her name, but she did them. She did like a cosplay, and she basically made like a mini smoke machine out of a vape pen and a pump.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm just knocking a load of stuff off a shelf there just to show you what I'm going to be adding onto mine.
very nice. It is. It's a really good kit, and obviously, it's just it adds. So when we were, the good thing about it is the demos. When we do the demos, because it's quite big, it's because flashing lights, it's big, it's bright, and it really does draw a lot of people in. So traditionally, historically, we've done demos with just the normal rings, like the
Hmm.
the old school rings. Um, and then obviously they're a bit outdated. They know they're outdated. They're going to be using the deluxe rings now.
Hmm.
Um, it was bringing so it got first. We showed it first at the expo last year. That was drawing a lot of people in because we had it right on the corner. We were in sort of like a dark enough spot where the lights would sort of show up. And then when we were at Salute, this just gone. Yeah, it just brings a lot of people in because it's bright, it's flashing,
Hmm.
it does look the business. But yeah, anything else on the table, Chris, or is it just MDF
Well,
today?
I'll just show you one of the things. I think I've mentioned it to you, but I've not showed like what my actual plan is. So when I did my project a couple of years ago for doing the Pip Boy Model 2000 from Fallout 76, I added an EL screen into the actual screen of it,
Nice.
and I used a screenshot of the Pip Boy app and printed it onto some like clear plastic. So like when you're just looking at the screen, it's just dark. Hit a button on it, lights up the EL panel, and like backlights the image. So I'm wanting to do that with the Tippy Club logo and having it on the rear part of the entrance,
Mm,
like
nice.
the entranceway. And then I've got a pretty jazzy light for when I'm like filming things, uh, and you get like different light effects on it. So have
Nice.
that behind the Tippy Club logo, so you can get different colors and like strobing effects and like uh, like fading into other colors and stuff. So I think I just think that look pretty cool.
Oh well, 100%.
Um, yeah, that's all I've been working on since I finished the superstores from last time. Yeah, what about you?
Well, the thing is, I when I go to these events, so I've only sort of just come back from Salute. The Salute was the 13th of April, so this would be the Saturday before today. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of when I go to these sort of events, I'm kind of like all minied out for a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. But I have sort of just splashed a bit of color on. There's the UCM ships that I had built. Just there's a little
Is that
splash of color on there.
drop
Drop fleet,
fleet?
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I've put
I
the
always get mixed up between drop fleet and drop zone. I know it should be easy because drop zone it's like a
yeah
sector that you're in. Drop fleet is like
the
a
ships,
fleet of
yeah.
ships. It's pretty easy
Oh
to think of
yeah.
it. I'll always find a way to get mixed up with it.
Oh, they always go hand in hand anyway. So like, I mean,
Hmm.
they say if you play one, you play the other, but I don't. I drop zone, a drop zone commander. I just can't be asked with
Hmm.
it. But yeah, other than that, I've just not really been doing. I get minied out. like when you're sort of surrounded by it for a whole day,
Yeah.
and you're talking about it all day, and it's you kind of just get a bit minied out.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, and obviously I've been unwell. I said we were like we were meant to record this yesterday. I just felt like death for some reason. Um, so yeah, I've just it's that and
It's
not
that
being well.
convention flu.
Yeah, it might well be. Like it's probably because I'm just knackered, and then like it's everything just sort of catches up with me. I'm one of those people where it's like I find it really difficult to relax.
Hmm.
And then when I do start to relax, the best way to describe me is like I'm like a suspension bridge. I need to be kept under a certain level of tension to operate. Otherwise, I
See,
just collapse.
see, I'm the other way. I'm just too relaxed. I, I find it hard to get stressed sometimes.
Oh, I'm always under a certain level of stress. It's unbelievable.
I think I think I am. I'm just that used to it. It's just become the normal. So it's like, yeah, okay, just go with it.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, no. I mean, I say I've been doing little. So I had the Knolls just ready to base,
Hmm.
and I was looking at them, and I was like, they just didn't look right. So I redid the eyes on them, and then I've added some war paint, and they're looking a lot sharper now. And I'll sort of give you an example. I'm also gonna. I feel like their armor um, should be rustier,
Hmm.
but you know I've been adding like war paint. I redid their eyes um, because I did their eyes like red initially because I always do like red eyes for like werewolves and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But then I thought they're not really werewolves; they're like just dog folk.
Yeah.
And then I looked at like I thought the yellow eyes would look really nice. So that's what I've done now. I've given them like yellow eyes instead of um. See if you can sort of
Ah,
get
yeah. That looks really good.
Yeah, I thought the yellow eyes looked a lot better than the red eyes. So I did that.
Yeah, it stands out against like the brown
Mm,
skin, and it's still that sort of like it's
still looks
still
very
in that,
doggy.
yeah, it's still in like the wheelhouse of
Mm.
like brown and yellow being like very
Because
complementary.
it was one of those annoying things. I was just sat there looking. I was about to start putting them on bases, and I just sat looking at them, just like something's just not right with them. And then I
Hmm.
sort of looked at, and I was like, that realized what it was, and then I just think they didn't look gritty enough. They didn't look
Hmm.
post-apocalyptic enough for me
Yeah,
because they look
yeah.
that sort of side.
When it comes to doing them, yeah, for me, like I still need to undercoat them.
Mm,
I've just got them up on the shelf at the minute. I think I'll be using some like typhus corrosion just to kind of add that little bit of texture to it. So
mm.
when it comes to adding some rust effect to it, it'll help it stand out a little bit. I think that's an important thing as well when you're painting stuff, not to be afraid of just going back
Mm.
and just undo that. Just let the paint dry, and then just repaint that bit. I had the same thing with oh god, what's it called? Not Ariel, Lenore. The Lenore model for Rumble Slam. When I painted her eyes, when I was looking at it, she looked like she was just giving full death stares.
Mm.
So I kind of just kind of like re like went back page one rewrite on the eyes. Just went in with the skin color and just like as fine as I could, just getting it so it looked more like her eyes were like half closed, and it made such a big difference to the model.
I think a lot of people are like, especially more your novice painter, are afraid to go back and redo
Hmm.
things. Um, but I think if
The
you've,
amount of times I go back and redo the eyes just to get them near enough lined up as much as I
mm,
can. I think Lenore was probably the most extreme one that I've had to redo the eyes on. But I mean, yeah, sometimes it's got to be done.
I tell you what, I'm not looking forward to though. I picked up. It's not on the table. Technically, it's under the table at the minute. I got my little swag bag, which I just showed you of what I brought back from Salute. Picked up funny enough, picked up Lenore and picked up the new Ikatari. model, which is the first
Hmm.
merman, who's effectively Maui from Moana, and he's got all that tribal tattoos on him.
Hmm.
And like, obviously, it's not in the model, so I'm gonna have to sort of
I
freehand
was
it.
just about to ask, is it like have they got that as
I'm actually gonna
like a
double
bit of
check now because
detailing on it?
I'll have a quick double check.
Because if they haven't, then
Oh,
like,
that's a
I've
freehand job.
seen the pictures that they like, released of them, and it's like
Yeah.
they've if that's freehand, that's some very good freehand.
Oh, it's freehand. There's no sort of on the model, so that's going to be interesting.
Well, I'm glad I tried that sort of like Maori style, like tribal
Mm.
tattoo, like Roman Reigns, The Rock, sort of like the sleeves they've got. I'm glad I tried that on the is it Sassy Clops, because that's going to come in handy.
Oh yeah, and I mean, luckily, it's quite a big bit of space, so it's not like
Mhm.
it's going to be super fine, but it's going to be a ball ache nonetheless.
Yeah,
But I've
yeah,
got a
it's going to be
plan.
one where there'll be a lot of tidying up
Oh yeah,
as you go. So keep your skin tone handy.
yeah. There's it's going to be one of those sort of jobs, or
Mm.
or
Oh,
oh no, that ain't going to work. I was thinking using chip and medium. Do it the other way round, like do the tattoo
oh.
first and then do the skin over the tattoo and then just cover the tattoo in chipping medium.
Well, do you know there's like the fluids you can get, you know, like, if you're painting like canopies on aircrafts and stuff like that, where it's like it's basically like it dries like a little rubber sort of
Oh yeah.
thing you can peel off. You could possibly do something with that. So you would paint the skin, paint the tattoo color on it,
Mm,
and then going in with like whatever you're going to add it on with, either an old brush because it'll wreck your brush,
yeah.
or masking fluid, that's what it's called, or like a toothpick
Mm.
cocktail stick thing maybe, and just add in the tattoo design on that, and then once it dries, do your skin tones over it. Once
And
all
what
that's dry, you can just pick the
the only
masking fluid off, and it'll reveal the tattoo color.
I mean, the only do you know, I'm probably going to do it on something else. Like I'll do it on like on a flat surface, see how that looks, and then I'll
Mm-hmm.
probably because I don't want to like pull it off, and then there's like a sort of little. You can just sort of see a little bit of a lip in the sort of
Yeah,
difference.
is that.
We'll get there. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out one way
I
or
mean,
another.
like masking fluid's a bit of an extreme use for it. There was a like a monthly box I used to get that stopped doing them now, sadly. Um, with the like export fees for sending it like across the like out of Europe and or into Europe as the case was, uh, it ended up being where it wasn't viable for them to continue it.
Mm.
So after like a year and a bit, they had ended up or a year and a bit from when I was using them. Um, they ended up dropping off. But one of them was using masking fluid to do camouflage, and it was a really weird process for it because it's like where painting's in like an additive process. This was a subtractive one. So as you're painting your color on, you're then adding your the masking fluid, doing your next color, masking fluid, next color, masking fluid, and then you're picking it all away,
That just
and
seems too
it
much.
ends up looking really good, but it's just a really weird way of like thinking about it.
I mean, I I know this is going to sound very. So I've never been in the military. Like I
Mm.
haven't. My dad was, but I was in the cadets, and I paint camouflage on minis the way you would put camo paint on your face. That you basically go light to dark,
Mhm.
and that's how I paint camouflage on minis. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, as if I'm painting it on my face. And it's like, but it's just no straight lines in camouflage, and that's how I do it.
Mhm.
But it's Yeah, so I've got plenty of stuff to keep me. In fact, I've actually probably got enough stuff in my pile of stuff to paint that I could probably got enough to like the next 4 years after I've died. Like that's probably gonna be the only thing that's gonna be like, oh, he's not gonna die until he paints all his minis, and I'm like, well, I'm
Mhm.
gonna live forever then
Yeah, you've got that unfinished business of all these minis paint. So if you do die, you'll be coming back as a ghost,
to
trying
paint.
to get someone to paint them all for you before you can move on.
I'll be like a painter ghost instead of a poltergeist.
Get
I'll just
out.
they'll just be like a
Okay, this
mini,
is the
just
Tippy cast with just me.
you'll just see like a mini floating and then like another brush. And they'll be like, what's happening here? Oh,
It just gets flung across the room.
it's a painter ghost. But yeah,
Well, I'm forever buying more minis when that I don't have room for or a need for. But I've got a greed for. So so yeah, I'll never be out of minis to paint.
I'll never be
But
satisfied.
this has been quite a long and mad tangent. What's on the table? So if let's move into the main topic, or I guess one of the main topics, and that you were saying you were at Salute. So what can you tell us about that?
So, salute if none of you have ever been there. It's really a tabletop gamers paradise. It's in the Excel Centre in London. It's where it's been held for the last God knows how many years, and it's ran by the Southeast London War Games Club. They also do Selweg at the other end of the year. Um, so they do Salute in April and then Selweg later on. Selweg's in Lee Valley Sports Centre. Again, very good event. You ever get yourself down
Mm.
there? Um,
It's the other side of the country from me, so
yeah,
it's like for like a single day event, it's
it's pushing it.
quite the journey. Yeah.
And basically, the attendance was very high. People were queuing already when I arrived early with my exhibitor's pass.
Oh.
Um, so I get to go in as a member of TT Combat's exhibitor team, so I get to go in early, which is nice because they let to have a little wander around with all the exhibitors before the whole show really opens up. And what's cool is
Mhm.
a lot of the exhibitors, yes, they know you're an exhibitor, they'll kind of like sell things to you early. So if you do want anything as an exhibitor, you can kind of just, they're like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
But
this is
walking,
your opportunity
yeah, pretty
to
much.
do your shopping because you'll be on the rest.
So as I was walking around, obviously got this sort of more independent scenery designers, scenery makers, and as well along with still like with some of the big hitters in the tabletop war games industry. You got
Mhm.
Black Scorpion were there, Whaling Games were there, Warlord Games, Foundry Minis, and of course my Cornish compadres TT Combat, just to name a few.
Woo, the
Um,
boys.
the boys from the south. Um, because obviously most other games companies are in Nottingham. Don't know why.
Yeah, the lead belt.
The lead belt. But yeah, no, this it's such a nice vibe, and it's you can see everyone there's because it's the first sort of big war game show of the season, if you want to call it that.
Mhm.
Um, everyone's kind of got that getting back into the ebb and flow of it again, and
Mhm.
but there was plenty of hustle and bustle, old faces. You kind of once when you're on the circuit for long enough, you kind of start recognizing people, and they sort of recognize where you're from, and you start recognize what they do. So it's sort of nice to see some of those people again, because obviously last we would have seen some of them would have been Warfare or
Mhm.
Selweg, even as far back as the Expo. Um, and obviously but then the doors opened and it's open to the public, and it gets like super busy, like straight out of the gate. It's really busy.
Mhm.
Um, and the stall that we were on, so I was demoing Rumble Slam predominantly, and so the games we had demo were two lots of Rumble Slam and Carnival. We don't tend to demo Drop Fleet because it's not one of those sort of games where you can't
Mhm.
really get the gist of it in like a turn. It just takes too long.
Yeah.
Um, so, but there was, still was getting constant attention. Um, not into small part due to my wonderful father's work of the Rumblesang Ring surround stadium surround with their flashing lights and all the gubbins, drawing a lot of people in. And my predominant job of the day was to get people hooked on Rumble Slam or Carnival, but also and other TT goodness. So sadly, I don't really get a lot of time to sort of play any games because I only generally get like a half hour, so like 40-minute lunch. Um, but I didn't get to play. But I saw plenty of games being played, and I was sort of like, as people were sort of like learning the game, I was sort of like, peeked over and sort of had a listen about what was going on because there were certain games that I did want to sort of have a listen to, like have a quick look at. Funny, one of them was what I mentioned in my new and shiny was Warlord Games Achtung Panzer. They were demoing that, so I got to have a quick look at that. That was looking good. Saw Dead Man's Hand by Great Escape Games being demoed, which, if you're not familiar with that, is a Western tabletop skirmish game, not a weird West one, like a proper
Yeah.
cowboys cowboy shoot 'em up.
Yeah. I know
Um,
you're very
yeah,
you're into your Wild West stuff, aren't you?
I am the Wild West. Yeah, well, I had I've got a TT Combat white box of the old West stuff that I bought. Christ, Warfare when it was still being held at Ascot Ascot
Mhm.
Racing Course. So that would have been about 3 years ago.
So
Um,
half of that stuff's probably out of production now.
oh no, still in production. Well, it's whenever they brought that white box out. But
Because I know some of the Wild West range,
went out of
it went
fashion.
out
Yeah,
of production. Well, they were like refreshing some of the range, weren't they?
yeah. So this is the Pitchstone stuff. So the new stuff that came out. Um,
Ah, right.
so yeah, I've got a couple figures. I bought a blister box of gunslingers from Great Escape Games, and I looked at how the game plays, and it's just a really fun game, and it does try to emulate, sort of not so much spaghetti western, but like more your grittier western films.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I, funnily enough, they were using TT combat scenery, so it was kind of funny. And I was like, yeah. But it's annoying because I've got some figures that are painted. I've got scenery which is somewhat painted,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't actually played any games with them yet. So that's neither rooting or tooting. Um, so there's
So you
that.
can't get shooting.
Can't get shooting with my rooting and tooting. Um, there was also a couple of games of Gaslands going around, which again I really enjoy playing, and it's
Mm-hmm.
always good to see new people just having an absolute whale of a time playing it.
I've been looking at a bunch of the crooked dice stuff,
Mm.
and like not just the Gasland stuff, like a few of the model ranges and everything they do, but like the vehicles for it look really good, and it's like you get like the A-team van. It just imagine what that would look like with like an anti-air turret on the top of it. It's like, oh,
Hilarious.
it's
That's
very tempting. DeLorean with a cannon on the back or something.
what else? Yeah, I saw some gameplay demos of Achtung Panzer. There was a massive game of like Adeptus Titanicus.
Mhm.
Is that what it is? Mechanic Titanicus? The Titans.
Yeah,
But like they were
uh,
the full size Titans that they do, that the big Forge World ones.
yes.
They were playing like a full size that. Oh, it was
That's about
immense.
7 grand buy in to play.
Yeah, but they had it all like on the floor. They were playing like on the floor, and it was mental. And then obviously you got some people like doing like games of like your 15 mil historical, some naval games, more your
Mhm.
historical war game. A bit of bolt action was floating around as well.
Was it?
And if
They've just done a new version of Bolt Action as well, haven't they?
Well, so bolt action's complicated because you've got bolt action and then you've got conflict 47, which is like
Hmm.
an alternative future where like Russia did something and then
Yeah, I was just thinking, is that the one where it's like a lot of like future Soviet, like neo-Soviet stuff.
Yeah. But other than that, but I was mainly at I was mainly on the booth doing demos. Funnily enough, actually, where I was demoing, um, Mephidius were there. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, Chris. They do this. They were demoing this game called Fallout, Wasteland Warriors. Don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No,
Well, I mean,
Fallout,
yeah, it's even a TV show about it. I don't know.
Fallout Boy, the band.
Wow, this is what I thought when I sort of looked at it, and I was like, well, I don't know how you can make a game about about a band that was sort of very big in the sort of noughties.
I mean,
So
Kiss did. Kiss got plenty of stuff done with their name, so maybe Fallout Boy are doing the same.
maybe, but the figures were really nice. Turns out, wandered over there. Next thing I know, it's a post-apocalyptic game. Nuclear.
That's not on brand.
I know, right? That's what I thought. It's like this has got nothing to do with Fallout Boy and arguments. There I was walking in,
I suppose maybe these models are having an argument, and that's what
and I rocked
they're shooting
over,
about.
and there's guys in metal suits. There's these weird giant blue guys. Some people wearing jumpsuits. I was lost, honestly, lost.
Just, it sounds ridiculous. I,
Uh,
I don't
well,
think it'll catch on.
nah, probably not. But it looked like a very fun game, and I thought I looked in some of the minis, and the minis aren't too bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just whether I can sort of justify the purchases of
Yeah.
it. But I don't have any.
Modifius models are nice, very detailed resin.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I mean, so the best way to sort of explain the whole experience, if you've never been to Salute, you've got most of it's a good portion of it is just sort of like your independent sellers, dice trays, uh, gubbins,
Mm-hmm. I
whaling.
know. I was watching on Instagram a few accounts I follow there. I know Louise Sugden was there doing the Rogue Hobby stuff.
Duncan Rhodes, obviously, if anyone's aware of him, he
Mm-hmm.
was there, but because obviously he's got his Duncan Rhodes Painting Academy and he's now got to shift some stuff because he's got paints to sell. Um, oh, I tell you what was exciting stuff that was there. They had this little thing for like you could learn like sword fighting, and there was like medieval sword fighting. That was pretty dope.
Cool.
I didn't get to have a go, but again, the booth I was in, I could see quite a lot of cool stuff just sort of happening from where I was. It was great. But the best thing about the whole war game scene, again, if you've never been to a war game show, like one of the big ones like Salute Expo, just go for a day. You don't have to go, like, the Salute's only a 1 day event, but the UK Games Expo, oh, sorry, it's a 3 day event, the UK Games Expo, but
Mm-hmm.
generally speaking, the Saturday and the Sunday are the better days. And I say that because those are the days I go, and that's the days I'm there. Um, these events, if you've never been to one before, it's such a nice place because there's everyone there is into the same stuff more or less as what you're into,
Mm-hmm.
and it's you can just really just let your nerd out without anyone like laughing at you or like anyone sort of like finding it annoying that you're talking about it because you can just it's great. And it's just good seeing like a lot of people. I mean, some of the costumes that people do as well are amazing. I saw a couple of Space Marines, a couple of Imperial Guardsmen, and it was just amazing. It's an amazing place to be, and it's to see that community thriving as well, especially after the lockdowns, and just for it to be going strength to strength. A more positive note for me personally, and from a TT combat point of view, is the more and more people now that I'm doing demos to. Historically, has been, I'd say, 4 out of every 10 people that I would demo to have heard of the game. But
Mm-hmm.
now I'm looking at potentially 3 out of 10 people haven't heard about it. So I'm now demoing it to people who have a sort of basic understanding of the game and it's like, oh, I was going to get a demo at the expo, but you were really busy and I didn't have the time. Or it's like, oh, I've seen this online, or I've seen, this while I was doing this, and I read into it, and it looks really cool. And I'm saying I'm getting more and more people now saying that they've heard of it in some one way or another, and that's massively, massively positive. Not just more for the community in Rumble Slam, because there used to be like pockets of it,
Mm-hmm.
and if you were out somewhere where there wasn't a pocket, it was really hard to get a game. And even Carnival as well. More and more people are getting on board with that.
Good.
And but obviously, TT Combat's bread and butter is always going to be MDF scenery.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but
Yeah,
it's
when I first like my first experiences with TT Combat was the MDF. It wasn't like quite late on of knowing about TT Combat that like I got into their games.
and it is they are great games. I mean, obviously, like most of them had been bought from other people, but
Mm-hmm.
Rumble Sam is the only in-house one. But yeah, Fallout TV. It's I'm only up to episode 6, so I've literally
Mm-hmm.
just started episode 6. I don't get to watch it quite a lot because obviously kids, it's not child friendly. Um,
I watched it over 2 days, 4 episodes a night, and I really enjoyed it.
I'm really enjoying it. And what I like about it, obviously, I've played the games. I didn't play 76, but what's nice about it is it's
It's not
not.
bad. 76 is not bad.
I'm just not a big fan of mass multiplayer online.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather just have my own little adventure. Um, I think what I like about it is it's it's very much doing what The Witcher did for the
Mm-hmm.
first 2 seasons. It's really hugging the source material,
Yeah,
um, which is
there's
really
a lot
good.
of fan service in it.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, obviously, I haven't got to a point, but I'm hoping that I can't, when they'll do the Death Claw, like a good service. But everything else, how the ghouls act, how the Brotherhood of Steel
Mm-hmm.
are, and and obviously how the vault dwellers are treated outside of the vaults. Everything's really just really hugging that source material, and I like that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
serving the fans, and hopefully, but there's I people are watching it even though they don't know the games, and they're
Yeah.
still enjoying it because they kind of get like a basic idea about what's going on, and then like they'll talk to
Mm-hmm.
people who know Fallout, and then people who know Fallout be like, "Oh, it's because of blah 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 blah,"
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "What? And why do you know that?" And it goes, "Oh, because it's a game." Like that's where I
Yeah.
know it from. Do
Yeah.
you know?
They've done a good thing of the stuff there for fans of Fallout,
Mm,
but it's not like a barrier to entry for
no,
people who don't know Fallout. As far as they're concerned, future sci-fi, post-apocalypse story, pretty cool combination right there.
it is, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, obviously, it's directed by Jonathan Nolan, and he did Westworld.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Westworld is fantastic, and it's been done in a way, obviously, as you said, that the story is well written enough as well that it's you don't need to know the game to sort of enjoy it. You can kind of get a good idea of what's going on.
That's
It's
a good thing with the perspective of the Vault Dweller as well, because as they're learning about the world, you are as well.
mm,
Which is why a lot of the times in the games you're a Vault Dweller. So it's like if you're new, first Fallout game I played was Fallout 3, and I knew nothing about like the world of Fallout and stuff like that. It wasn't until later I went back and played the earlier titles, and I was learning about everything going on in the game, making my own kind of connections to things as I was experiencing it as the Vault Dweller. Some
mm,
of it I was right, a lot of it I was wrong, but it's that detective work that you're doing while you're experiencing it as an outsider, essentially. And I think the TV show does that. It like it gives you your information, but not in an overwhelming way. It like kind of drip feeds it into you.
Oh, definitely. And it is great. And I mean the actress, oh, that's the name.
Ella,
Yeah, the character's known as called Lucy McQueen. The actress, Ella Purnell. There we go.
mhm,
So Ella Purnell, they did an interview with her about it, and they were
she's so
saying,
London.
and the best thing about it, she played the game to sort of
Mhm,
again be in that mindset of like everything is new to me.
mhm,
Like I've lived a very sheltered life, and now I'm out in the big world, and it's not what I was told it was. And that, but then seeing her go from that to like this merciless killing machine,
mhm,
that transition as well, and again that's how it sort of plays out in the game, and I think that's just how they've done that is just it's just really well done.
mhm. And there's like three different stories going
Mm,
on as well, because like Lucy and Maximus, the Brotherhood of Steel lad, their stories are very much it's the same story. Like they're the two characters of that arc. Then you've got the Ghoul who ties into that a bit, but he's got his own like agenda that he's going for.
mm,
And then you've got the story of the Vault, Vault 33, and so you get like your Wild West gunslinger with the Ghoul.
mm,
You get the like the exploring the world, learning things through Lucy and Maximus, and then you've got this kind of detective whodunit sort of mystery going on with Vault 33, and I really like that.
mm.
And then I suppose there's like a fourth view of it in the flashback scenes, which like still ties into the Ghoul when you because he's pre-war, he's an actor, Cooper Howard,
Well,
and
he was Vault Boy, wasn't he?
yeah, he was they got
They've
him for the adverts on it,
Yeah, they put him as they sort of put him in as canon as sort of the Vault Boy with thumbs up.
the thumb up, yeah.
Isn't he called Fallout Sam or something like that? Or
He's just the Vault Boy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Walter Goggins, the guy who plays the Ghoul, um, again, he would say he was the Vault the Vault Boy, essentially the
Hmm.
Vault Tech poster boy pre-war, and I like that aspect of it, and that they've kind of brought that canon in.
Hmm.
Um, and it's not like they forced it in either. Like the people who wrote a lot of the stories for Fallout are really heavily involved in this as well. So
Hmm.
they're like, yeah, no, that's cool. They're like, yeah, we'll do that. And again, Walter Goggins, he's doing a fantastic job of playing the Ghoul. And I think the best way is to sort of describe the Ghoul personally. I think he's got a very Deadpool esque to him,
Hmm.
where he's not a bad guy. He's just, he's not a good guy. He's not good. But he'll very just serve himself.
Yeah, he's a mercenary.
Yeah,
He's
he
like
just yeah, and I
he's
like
there
that,
for the coin or the cap.
and I like that about him. And do you know what? There's a lot of big names in this series that you don't. I mean, obviously Amazon have that kind of money to throw around.
Hmm.
There's a lot
And
of
so you
big
got the dude
names.
from Twin Peaks,
Oh yeah, as I said, the cast is phenomenal. And when you actually look through it, which character? Uh,
he plays Hank,
oh
Lucy's
yeah,
dad.
Kyle McLachlan,
McLaughlin, that's the
McLaughlin.
one.
Yeah, and like obviously Moises Arias, the guy who plays Norm, he was in Hannah
Hmm.
Montana. And it's just sort of like you see a lot of these people, and obviously
Is that Lucy's brother?
yeah, Lisa's younger brother, yeah.
Yeah,
And obviously you got like other big names. You got
dude
Matt,
from Lost and
yeah.
the First Soul.
Oh, there's big names. And who else? What's his name? Blah, 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 blah. He was in The Toast of London. He plays the voice of
Matt
Snip.
Berry.
That's it, Matt Berry. I love his voice, and he's just.
Yeah,
Oh.
that is such a good voice for Codsworth.
And then obviously as well, you see the flat in the flashbacks, like
I say for Mr. Haney because I think his character is called Codsworth, which
um,
is the Mr. Handy that you own in Fallout 4. It's called Codsworth.
yeah. So because it even gives that like where that voice came from, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like because he's friends with Cooper,
Mm-hmm.
the guy who then becomes a ghoul. It shows you that canon because obviously they were friends, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's just how they've written it and say going backward and forward. It's just a really well written piece of video game, and it going from video game to either film slash series is
Mm-hmm.
difficult. Um, if you're, but you, I think The Witcher did well for the first two seasons. Fallout's done well because I think because they're sticking to the source material, they're trying to serve the fans
Mm-hmm.
rather than new people.
Yeah, it's set in the area of the first one, the first Fallout game. It's like the graveyard LA
Mm.
area.
It is, and it's.
I really enjoy it, and it's been signed up for a series too.
I have seen that. Yeah, it's been signed up for. I need to get the other episodes done, but yeah. So I think with that, I think we can move on to new and shiny, which I think is
Yes,
nice because we could quite happily talk about that for a while. And
definitely. It's
it's
like I'm
just
trying to avoid spoilers. I want to go into all
mm,
these little details and stuff, but some of them I can't remember what episode they're in, if you've got there or not. I don't want to spoil it.
and I do
But
appreciate that.
there's one thing that when I saw it, well, two things when I saw it, I really loved it. One was the Pip Boy, the 2000 in the shop in Philly, in the window.
Mm.
I've got one of them sat right next to us. I built that, and the other one is in a flashback scene. It's nothing. It's a throwaway thing. But the magazine he's reading is a Tesla magazine, which is one of the ones you find in Fallout 4. And it's like the eye for detail. It's there.
And also
I
in the
love
first
it.
episode, when I went about as a Grognar the Barbarian,
Yes, they've got the Grognak TV series.
and yeah, it the sort of tips to the hats to your sort of hardcore Fallout fans are just it's great. But yeah, we could quite happily
Yeah.
talk about it forever, but it was sort of a tedious link because it's like, well, they have miniatures now, so we can sort of
Mhm.
bring this in here. It's not really a game, but it is a game. Now it's a TV series.
Yeah.
We'll allow it.
It's it's a multimedia franchise.
We'll allow it.
But, but one of my new and shinies, although it's not the newest or shiniest thing, it's very relevant. Modifius have a Fallout sale, 33% off selected sets, including the base game in a bunch of boosters and the RPG. So you can get the base game for less than 50 quid,
Mm.
the RPG starter set for less than 20, and that has like a stripped down bare bones rule book in, like to learn the rules. And then the full rule book is it's like 30 pence, 30 pence, £30 in a couple of pence. So there. I took advantage of that 33% sale and some like loyalty points from the Modifius website to buy some more Fallout Wasteland Warfare models.
I mean, I've
And
looked at a couple of the
yes,
models, and I'm contemplating it, especially if they've got a 33% sale. But it's whether I can justify the purchase. I've got no one to sort of say no, you can't do that. Well, yeah,
neither do I, and that's the problem.
well, the other half, she's like, well, it's what you want to do. It's your hobby. It's your money. And I was like, well, you're supposed to not let me buy things, but she does.
Well, I bought a new lunchbox. It's the pre-war undamaged, uh, like vault,
Nice.
like vault entrance lunchbox. and I've been keeping all my Fallout models in these lunch boxes. Like I magnetized the bottom of the bases, and so I've got there. And I was like, well, I'm gonna have to fill it up, so I had to buy more models, and that's exactly what I did.
Sound logic, mate. Sound logic.
But so yeah, like I say, 33%. So it's off selected sets, not every one of them,
Okay.
but there is some of the more recent releases that are on the sale as well. It's not just like clearance stuff. There's some new gear in there as well.
Nice. I'll have to definitely have a look at that. But I think some big news, big news in the TT combat world. I'll just sort of say this now before you carry on with your new and shiny, Chris, because it will quite happily nicely plug into what you want to other thing you want to talk about. They released grey plastic sprues for their drop fleet stuff. So
Mhm.
some of the drop fleet,
I saw them post that
mm,
on Instagram.
very productive move forward. Um, it's going to make production for them a lot easier. It means they're going to be able to keep up with demand.
Mhm.
It's going to make modeling, putting them together a whole lot easier. Because obviously, you and I both know, Chris, resin, it's not the easiest thing to work with.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, it's something where you want to have a bit of experience with models before you start tackling resin in some cases.
so they got the grey plastic sprues. They've said they showed one at Salute. I got to have a quick look at it. Um, and it's just a really good progressive leap forward, and I think it's just going to go strength to strength for TT Combat, and it's going to make life a lot easier for them. And
And it's a
for
good sign
mm,
of like growth for them as well because tooling costs isn't cheap,
nope.
and having the stuff for the grey plastics. I mean, that's pretty big. When you do your resin stuff, you make your mold, you use that mold till runs, and you make a new one off your master. With plastic stuff, it's a big like payment towards it, so that's a really good sign. TT Combat's growth.
And I think from my understanding, they're going to sort of um, get Drop Fleet over to that first,
Mm-hmm.
and then go from there. Um, just because obviously I think they're going to do it like one game at a time,
Mm-hmm.
just to sort of ease that transition. But otherwise, no, it's a great step forward. Um, and quite frankly, it's one well needed, and it's I know Louis, the owner of TT Combat, it's something that he's been kind of wanting for a long time, and he's just sort of been
Mm-hmm.
trying to find the best time to do that, and I think it's coming. It's very nearly here. What it means for Rumble Slam and Carnival, who knows?
I was
Um,
just gonna say, does that mean they're gonna be phasing out resin stuff or?
I don't really know. He wasn't. He was. We say it was pretty busy, so we didn't really get much time to
Mm-hmm.
sort of chat with each other. But it did seem that over time, as sort of like the resin molds
Deteriorate?
deteriorate, they'll start trying to phase them over
Mm-hmm.
to sort of grey plastics. And I think even superstars might be going into like the push fit spruce. So obviously they might
Mm-hmm.
retain the same pose, just in a more sturdy model, really, because obviously
Yeah.
resin can be quite brittle, and it's
Mm-hmm.
quite subject to its environment.
Yeah.
Especially if it's hot, or it just becomes a
Yeah.
bit of a pain to work with. And it's obviously got the releasing agents, and it's that, and it's a whole thing. And but no, definitely very positive progression for them, especially because they're not in the lead belt as well, and they're quite
Mm-hmm.
tucked away down there, but and they haven't got as a bigger facility as you'd imagine.
Yeah, I like the thing. It's like this just warehouse that stretches for miles and basically like how they make a tank and stuff like that. It's like a warehouse like that.
Oh, it's a very you wouldn't know from the outside what they're doing, sort of
Mm.
thing, you know. But it's still a magical place. So anything else?
Just wait,
What else,
just wait,
Chris? Have you
just
got
waiting for the invite to combat. Just waiting for the invite.
wrong top part of the
I'll
country, mate?
get my own hotel.
It's
Well, keeping it with TT Combat, they've got some new scenery box sets out. So the UKTC tabletop tournament stuff. Um, they've been putting out a few. It's like, I guess it's kind of similar to like the white boxes where
mm.
it's a bunch of kits combined and the sets. And there's some awesome stuff with the city scenics. That's the construction site stuff where you get a big crane, some scatter stuff. So it's like it's things you'd expect to see on a construction site, like wall barriers and like cones and stuff. And there's a few buildings in there as well,
And they're porter cabins,
and
if I'm right
porta
in saying.
cabins. Yeah. There's the Battle in New York set, which provides you with some scatter stuff and buildings. It makes like a city block. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think these are for Marvel Crisis Protocol tournament stuff.
Oh, the Battle of New York stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, it's the MDF bundle, and yes, it is for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Um, so yeah, they got the plan is so they're planning to release a variety of maps,
Mm-hmm.
including map one, Battle of in New York. So it looks like they're sort of going to be like giving you like because it looks like it'll fill out a 2x2. Like
Mm-hmm.
obviously, my MCP is 2x2. Um, but yeah, so it's all very good stuff.
I use a bunch of the TT Combat City Scenic stuff in games I've got. The Walking Dead. I use some in Fallout as well because there's the house that I've got. It like I've painted it up to look kind of similar to the Sanctuary Hills houses.
Hmm.
I've got like that the big bright coloring on the outside of it. So like it's good for plenty of other games as well. And Don't Look Back, I tend to use it in as well. But like things like the old Batman game, Spectre Operations, which we talked about last time briefly,
And also you got
and
the so when they say like map one, two, and three,
mm,
map one was the Battle of New York stuff. Then the map two was the construction site,
mm,
and then map three, which I actually think is one of the nicer sets, and I was never going to use it for MCP, was the fairgrounds stuff.
oh, I love that scenery.
And because the haunted house that you get in it, you can open it up, and it
Yeah,
is
it's playable interior. What I like, I would if I had more room, because I'm pushing it for space with the bleachers and the stadium entrance and everything. I don't know where I'm gonna keep it, but I have to have it. If I could fit it in, I would get the fairground stuff because it would be amazing for Fallout to do like Nuka World
mm.
stuff, or Don't Look Back. There's the Sideshow Slaughter
I was thinking
expansion
don't
with the
look back.
clown.
I was now it's only because Black Site Studios they do a really nice meddling kids
Mm,
box set and
yeah,
sorry an abandoned fairground that's Scooby Doo all over in it like and I would try and play Don't Look Back the other way and this is right, go with me on this.
you're trying to catch the
You're no
killer.
you're playing as the killer, right,
Ah,
trying to not get caught by the by the Scooby Doo gang. Like you're trying to get away with it without those meddling kids.
that'd be cool. There is there's some expansion stuff uh, in Don't Look Back. I think there is rules for a playable killer in the new rule book,
Mm.
and there's the traitor. expansion, where one of the characters, it's like all the characters there, they draw a card.
Oh, I see.
One of the characters has a trait, or one or more have a trait, I think, and they've got to try and not get found out.
Nice.
So like it adds another fail state for the players where they need to try and figure out who's betraying them.
Almost like a bit like Among Us, sort of.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
nice. That's quite
have
nice.
that someone helping the killer. The killer knows who it is,
Mm.
and the meddling kids have to figure out which of the former staff of the fun fair is trying to like bump everyone off.
But it's just
That'd
a
be cool.
fantastic little kit, and I mean, say it's got so many applications. So you can either use it for MCP and Don't Look Back, and then you could obviously like ruin it if you want to call it
Yeah.
that, age it a bit, use it for something like a post-apocalyptic thing. I mean, you could even have like even use it in Gaslands if that was so desired. I mean, I'm not
Mm.
sure about the scaling of it. I mean,
Go full sweet tooth,
yeah, from Twisted
twisted
Metal,
metal stuff.
yeah, that's where I was going with that.
Samoa Joe.
But yeah, I mean these MDF
And there's some
kits,
Rumble Slam Easter eggs in that.
yeah, there is, but it's say, and you've obviously got the pitchstone stuff,
Mhm.
which they've called Rattlesnake Square. Or no, what was it?
Yeah, it's
Did they just
a
call it? Yeah,
Wild West Main Street. You got the sheriff office. There's a gallows, a trading post, undertaker, and merchant building.
all the things you need in a Wild
Yeah.
West small town. And well, I suppose that the town probably isn't big enough for everybody. That's cowboy architecture for you, I'm afraid.
They didn't take into account the growth of a town.
Exactly. And I tell you what, another thing would work really, really well for Fallout is the other stuff they brought out, which was the slums of nowhere.
The is that the hard block, like the container
Yes,
hard block stuff?
yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
I mean, obviously that will work for TT Combat's new game, Strike Zone Commander. I think that's what they're calling it,
Mm.
which is a 32 mil skirmish. So the best way to explain this is you'll have Drop Fleet Commander drops the troops to make Drop Zone Commander. Now, Drop Zone Commander has small squads fighting each other in Strike Team Commander. It's like drop section. It's like drops in dropception.
Mhm.
Like you're just going further down. Um,
There was I'd love the idea. Like if I played all of those games, I would love to have like an overarching war going on,
hmm,
where each of the games is like modifying the others. I think Mantic did something similar with Kings of War, and there was like a skirmish level one they did of it,
yeah. So you had
where where the skirmish one, it was like your elite teams going in doing something, and the winning condition of that could grant you stuff
I
in
think that
Kings of War.
was Kings of War Vanguard is what the
Yes,
skirmish
Vanguard,
one,
that's the one.
which is very very fun. You can even go as far by doing Kings of War Armada now,
Hmm.
because obviously that ships. Then yeah, and you could just go that way. But yeah, again, Kings of War is the same sort of thing, and it's just taking the one giant game further down the scale and just making the infantry bigger.
Hmm. I've been getting the strike team models when
Mm.
they've been come out as the exclusives and stuff. Really, really nice models.
Oh, they are. My
I don't know
favorite
if I
one
can
is.
justify buying the game when it gets the release, but
I
I want
mean,
it.
to be fair, like it's something that's on mine and Dad's shopping list as well. Because again,
Mhm.
he's picked up a couple of these figures from the event exclusive stuff. My favorite one's the jump pack. It's basically just a fella in a jetpack, and I think it's just such a dynamic
Yeah,
model.
that's a nice model. That I like the flame and smoke effect on it.
Mm.
They've done a good job on that one.
Well, I think say with So it's really handy though, because say TT Combat doing these smaller like white boxes, if you want to call them that. The UKTC, uh, these sort of kit boxes. It's a great way of having a ready to go sort of um, playable sort of tournament standard scenery.
Mhm.
Um, Straight out. Well, then obviously got some assembly required, obviously, but for a good price, they're not massively. They're not. They're never going to like gouge you for the price of it,
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah, the way I look at some of the TD combat scenery, I say some of it because some of the stuff, it's as soon as you build it, it's perfect.
mm,
But there's other ones like the house, the houses that they've done. It's like the low cost. I don't want to say cheap because that implies quality.
mm,
The low cost, and it's a great base to start modifying from. Um, like adding like window panes in, start like sectioning up bits of it. Like so, when I painted the house, I did the interior, I sectioned bits of it off for like the kitchen area,
mm.
and don't have to do that. But I think it kind of gives quite a bit to the model itself. When I did um the deluxe Dino Gas station, I did like I made it where you can swap the windows out for broken windows. All the doors can be opened and closed. Um, Added little gubbins to like control panels for like, the garage door. I've added lights onto it and added a bit of environmental storytelling where there's been a robbery gone wrong and like there's like money on the floor, blood splats. You can find where the dude like the gunman, he got shot where he's fell and died. And I usually have a zombie in the Walking Dead there, and then I've got one in the back room of the garage where the attendant, he got shot. He ran into the back, locked the door, and then he passed and became a zombie. So it's like, oh, bits of storytelling there, which completely unnecessary, but it adds a
Oh,
lot when you do it.
oh yeah, and I mean
The
like
de-
it's always good having a
it's
little
like
story.
the interiors aren't massively detailed, which is a blank canvas to do what you want with.
Well, it's like Bob Ross, isn't it? And it's just sort of like paint him up there, give him a little story, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
And
If
I think it
Bob
adds.
says it, it's fine.
Hey, Bob says it's yeah. So if Bob says it, it's got to be true. But I mean, as well, talking about their scenery, and it's funnily enough, they actually had it displayed at Salute. Was the new Far East stuff?
Oh yes,
They
the multi-level pagoda.
Yeah, they had it.
That
So
would be amazing in Himetsu.
yes, I tell you what as well. So again, historically, they don't have it painted, so they don't when they display the scenery that is built, they don't have it painted, but they had all the Far East stuff painted,
Mm.
and it was so many getting so many compliments, so many pictures, and it is really eye catching. I'm pretty confident they put on the Insta as well, and the socials about it, and it's just the picture of it of the pagoda doesn't really give it any justice about its real height. Mm. I mean, it's it's like you can open up. It's multi-leveled. As Chris said, there's a game again. Me and Chris are like quite well into Black Site Studios because they do make really good rule sets and their minis are out of this world. They do a co-op play samurai. I say samurai, more of a fantasy samurai um, game called Hemetsu, where you're fighting demons and stuff. So again, Far East, perfect for that. Even if you're into a bit of World War Two, more specific in the Pacific. Um, Unintentional rhyme there, but I'll work with it.
Unintentional. It
Um,
was intentional. You know it was.
yeah. So yeah, if you want to, if you like playing a bit of World War Two specific, I've done it myself now. Pacific. If you like playing the Pacific stuff, World War Two, it'd be great for that. Test of Honor is another game it'd be really good for. So Test of Honor, if you've not heard of it, is a samurai skirmish game, not fantasy samurai, um, more
Historical.
historical, a bit more accurate. And obviously, as well, another game that would work really nice there, Bushido. Um, that would work really nice there. Again, Bushido is more of a sort of a fantasy.
Just the picture of
Mm,
the pagoda that big painted up on it.
yeah,
So nice.
it the picture doesn't do it any justice about how tall it is.
Mm.
It's like it's a good, oh, I'd say,
Probably about 15 inch, I'd guess, with the base set of it.
I'd say about that. Yeah, about 15 inches.
Because it's 3 floors. Then you've got a raised up section,
Hmm.
and the roof looks quite tall.
Yeah, so I'd say
So
about 15 inches base to tip. If you've just
that
entered,
looks so nice. And I love the TT combat paints they've
hmm.
used on that. The blue on that is amazing.
Oh, it's a phenomenal looking kit, and it's and again, much like their um, minis, their even their MDF terrain designers are getting more adventurous and getting
Mm-hmm.
really pushing the envelope now with stuff. And it's as a company, they are going strength to strength to strength. They've not brought anything duff out of late.
Mm-hmm.
But I think from me, other than sort of little bits I saw that I mentioned last time, that I did get to see some of it being sort of played. I was quite excited about Achtung Panzer um, because then I can sort of meet that halfway with my dad, where I can play a World War Two game with him and not have to paint like infantry. So
Mm-hmm.
I could probably have that meeting in the middle where I could just paint tanks. So I'm quite excited for that. Um, and yeah, I think there's not really, that I don't know. Well, I suppose actually, while we're on the subject, so there's been things that had been released at Salute from TT Combat which hadn't made it to the website yet. One of
Yeah, and
these,
now I'm really jealous.
so obviously one that just got announced. I think they're on pre-order now, aren't they? So you got
No,
so
if
Ikatat.
it's Rumble Slam, then no.
So there's a couple of Rumble Slam wrestlers that were on sale at the show. Um, So you had bait and switch, which is like an angler fish. So basically, you got the main model, which is Switch, who's the angler fish, and he's got like a little separate model that looks
Mm.
like that's bait. So it's two models in that.
Are they a tag team, or
No, one model.
just
And
because when we were talking about it, was it last week?
hmm,
It's like bait and switch. That's got to be a tag team. But I'm still set on Skull and Crossbones being the tag team.
I don't know if they brought one. The other another wrestler was essentially a puffer fish.
Mm-hmm.
That might be the tag team, but it's two models. So one of them is when the puffer fish is small, and the other
Mm-hmm.
one's when the puffer fish is puffed out. Very much like
I
a
think I've only seen the puffed out one in the
yeah,
picture they
that's the only one
posted.
they released. Um, but that might be like a Dedro Pedro situation where it's the same person, different setting.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Lady Luck, who looks like a figurehead.
Yeah,
So me and Dad are going to purchase. I'm going to buy one, and then Dad's going to buy one as well because he wants to put one as an actual figurehead
on the
on
Carnival
one of the
boats.
Carnival galleons.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had
Which one though?
well, so we
I'd say it looks very possibly Vatican-y.
yeah, it might well be. The issue is because one of the galleons we got is with the guild galleon,
Mhm.
My dad had a harlot from one of the ladies of the night boxes. The leg broke, and he just tried to pin it, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. They
Mhm.
sent him a new one anyway, and he was like, "Oh well, what should I do with the one I've got left?" And I was like, "Well, it's already in a position where it looks like a figurehead. It's the one who was sort of like running with her arms back with the fans.
Yes.
It was that one." And I said, "Well, it already looks like it's in a position to be a figurehead." And then yeah, he just sort of heated it up a little bit to make it fit a little bit more snug.
Mhm.
But
Just bend it into shape.
yeah, and it looks so good. Um, so yeah, I think that adds a nice little bit of depth to it. So he might end up getting the Lady Luck Rumble Slam um, as a figurehead for another galleon that he's got.
Mhm.
Um, and then Ikatari, I don't know if I've pronounced that right, which is essentially a Moana knockoff of Maui. As a that's been sort of like spoken about by TT, but I don't know if it's been um, put out. But the big news in the Rumble Slam community is they have done. You can now buy Mike Clavicle
Yes.
as an event exclusive mini. Doesn't serve any gameplay purpose, but it is a fantastic mini, and it adds
I've
to that.
got mine right here. Just arrived today.
It doesn't add any sort of gameplay value, but it's just something nice to have, and it
Mhm.
adds that nice little bit of flavor and depth to the game.
Mhm.
I am still kind of every so often slyly dropping hints about them doing like a commentary team,
Yeah.
which I think would be really funny.
I've got a table from, I think it was one of the Mantic, uh, the scenery crates they do,
Yeah,
and I want to do like the Tippy Club logo on the front of it. Now I've got Mike Lavigal. He's going to be behind there. I've got a duplicate of one of the Masked Mayhem uh, Pulsanellas. I wanted to do him as an Italian announcer. Like, I needed to try and get like a microphone. I couldn't model one that looked good, so I think I might use some of the mini mold I've got to make a copy of the microphone hand
nice.
on Mike Lavicle. I'd use that on this other Pulsar, so then I can have the like I say the Italian announce table.
I mean, with this, with the stadium surround, there's a lot more room now where they could sort of,
Mm-hmm. Like
again,
the ancillary
yeah,
group.
like because they've done it with half tilt where you could buy the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
which are just models. They're no gameplay value. They could be doing the same now that they've got like the studio, stadium surround where they might just start making Rumble fans
Mm-hmm.
that you could just buy to fill
Well,
it out.
in the half tilt Kickstarter, I did order like duplicates of a couple of them. There's like there's the woman holding like a big like sign.
Yeah,
It's got like, I think it's got like a pig head on it. Ordered a second one of her, and I ordered two extra cheerleaders, like
nice.
the elf cheerleaders,
So what
because
I'm going to do is I'm likely going to
I'm thinking of doing
magnetize.
like a dark elf one of them.
Nice. I'm likely going to magnetize the bases so I can, or magnetize them so I can put them either in my Rumble Slam ring or when I play
Mm-hmm.
half tilt, I can just switch them over. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't really want to put them on bases, because I think that'll look naff. I'd rather them look like they're
That's what I'm doing.
great minds and all that. Well, they say great minds think alike, Chris, but fools seldom differ.
Yeah,
So, and I think on that note, I think we've waffled on long enough.
yeah. Got
And
work in the morning.
well, we both do. Well, thanks for joining us on the Tippy Cast. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow us.
And if you listen to us on YouTube, why not drop us a like and subscribe? And weigh in with your thoughts on what we've mentioned, missed, or something for us to look at in the next episode in the comments below.
And with that, it's a goodbye from him.
And it's a goodbye from me.